What's up, guys? It's your boy Santos the Destroyer, and I am back with part 3 of What If Naruto Was a Senju. So, a brief recap of where we left off last time. Naruto had just defeated Kiba in the first round of the Chunin exams, and basically the preliminaries have wrapped up, and Naruto begins on his 1 month of training between the first round and the finals. I do still believe canon matchups would go the same way due to there being no significant changes in the storyline. And Naruto, over this course, basically just refines his mastery of wood style ninjutsu with Jiraiya, as well as learning how to contact the QB so he can use more chakra and basically amp up his speed, his jutsu release speed, his general speed and physicality. And he also makes some other gains that I will mention later. In addition to that, those gains, he does also gain general physicality, strength, speed, the works. And after a month of basically brutal training under Jiraiya, we arrive at the day of the preliminaries. As Sasuke does make his dramatic entrance much later in the fight, the first fight would be Naruto versus Neji, and as in canon, when the people bet, they just write Naruto off like he's not a shonen protagonist, except he is, and we all know how that turns out. In the beginning of the match, Naruto is getting worked generally, using his wood defenses to attempt to keep up with Neji's speed. However, this doesn't really work at all, as Neji would either just avoid the wood strikes or just bore his way through them using rotation. And when Naruto tried to use some of the more offensive wood style jutsus, he would again just deflect them with rotation as the wood would just shatter due to the high speed of the rotation. Now, Naruto would still get caught within Neji's 8 trigram 64 palms, which would result in him getting his chakra points sealed. However, for Naruto, that's not really much of a problem, as he can just use Kurama to force his chakra points open, and he then proceeds to do so, ending the match with the same clash as in canon, if not earlier due to his wood style offensive jutsu that he's able to use. We now get into the other matches which play out the same as in canon. However, due to the fact that it is possible that Naruto's match could have ended earlier, we are maybe able to see more of Gara versus Sasuke. However, I do believe this would just result in Gara getting a Chidori in his arm earlier and the failed transformation happening, which would just result in a slightly earlier time frame for everything happening. It's maybe 5 to 10 minutes. It's nothing significant. So now Gara, along with his siblings, flee into the forest to hopefully get Gara's transformation to work. Sasuke, of course, follows them, as well as Sakura, Shikamaru, Naruto, and Pakun. Pakun serving as the team's tracker to track him via Gaara's scent, or in this case, actually, it would be Sasuke's scent. Now, Shikamaru still acts as the decoy, as there would be nothing changing them, because he wouldn't want to slow down to make sure they get so far ahead that Sasuke may have gotten himself killed. And Sakura still gets trapped up. Like in canon, Sasuke is already at his Chidori limit for the day, so he's essentially useless in this fight. So then we have the classic Naruto versus Gara Showdown, which in the beginning goes the same until Naruto actually uses his head and begins using his wood style jutsu in attempt to keep Gara at a distance, especially especially proving to be useful when Gara uses such destructive techniques like his wind style sandstorm devastation, which basically blows enormous gust of wind in Naruto's direction, and Naruto can easily create a wood dome to protect himself from those attacks. Therefore, he takes much less damage than he does, but at this point, Naruto realizes that after his fight with Neji and now this fight with Gara, he is burning through his normal pool of chakra really, really quickly. And at this point, he would try to summon Chief Toad for help, but again, he would only summon Gamakichi as he is not exactly perfect with that summoning technique. And then he tries a bit later after dodging more and more of Gar's moves, he would try again, but he'd summon Gamatatsu. And at this point, Naruto would stick his head up and gather his resolve, and then use the Naruto Ninja Handbook, the 2K Arms and Legs Barrage, which would do significant damage to Gara, especially when Naruto sticks the kunai in Gara's rear end, which would force Gara to reform. And I believe it is at this point when Gara becomes fully covered in the sand of Shukaku, where he loses his mind and just transforms into the massive Shukaku. At this point, with Naruto's back against the wall, the shonen protagonist's instincts kick in, and Naruto is finally able to summon Gamabunta, or Chief Toad. It is at this point where Naruto and Naruto versus Gara, who is basically this big avatar Shukaku, clash against each other. And now Gara uses the playing possum jutsu, which puts him to sleep and allows Gamabunta to take over. So from this point on, it basically goes the same as in canon. Naruto gives Gara that crispy right hook, and Gara basically wakes up, and basically Naruto has his first impactful talk no jutsu against Gara, telling him the importance of people that are precious to him, how they gave him strength and protected him from himself. And Gara was shocked by Naruto, how he was so strong just based off of people he cared for. And the fight ends with Naruto claiming victory over Gara. Most likely just due to the fact that with the little chakra Naruto has left, he just makes a small wood prison which would restrain Gaara's tailed beast chakra, thereby immobilizing him. And you'd have the end of the fight essentially as Sasuke gets Naruto and the Sand Siblings get Gaara. And you have the end of that arc, with Third still dying as there's nothing to prevent that. And the fifth Hokage would likely be seeked out as like Tsunade would be seeked out at this time, so the village could get back on its feet. And same as in canon, many Jonin would be deployed on high-risk missions so that the village would not look weak, even though the third Hokage just died. So now we go to the fifth Hokage, or Tsunade retrieval mission, or the search for Tsunade. So this arc basically begins the same with Kakashi, Asuma, and um, Kurenai all getting assaulted by Itachi and Kisame. Everything basically goes the same until Itachi like Itachi and Kisame try to pull something on Naruto, and then he displays Wood Release, which greatly intrigues him. And I believe Kisame would say something along the lines of, not only is he a Jinchuriki, but he also possesses Wood Release, a truly interesting specimen indeed. And he would like most likely leave after this point, as the arrival of Jiraiya would be something interesting, followed by Guy's dramatic entry on Jiraiya, which would be a very comedic moment, somewhat lightening the tension that had previously soaked the room before. And now Jiraiya and Naruto begin their official search for Tsunade. They do find Tsunade at a bar in a drunken stupor, with Shizune by her side. After Jiraiya tries to make her take the position of Hokage, she talks down on the mantle, which really angers Naruto. I mean, he is a shonen protagonist, we can't really expect nothing less, but it still angers Naruto greatly that she would talk down on a position he so coveted and idolized for his entire life. So then Naruto gets talking, and then when Naruto gets talking, Tsunade gets talking again, and then Tsunade posts the idea of a bet. She told him if he couldn't learn the Rasengan within a week, he had a week to learn it, that she would A, go to the village, and B, give Naruto the necklace as well. And if he didn't learn it, that she wouldn't go back, and Jiraiya and Naruto were never to bother her or Shizune again. And now basically we get to Naruto's training montage, which Naruto, with double determination after hearing what Tsunade said, but for another reason I will insert later, he does train doubly as hard and is able to not only improve his wood style jutsu, but also get down the basics of the Rasengan, even without Jiraiya's help. He learns this by basically training day in and day out wood clones, shadow clones. He's basically using all of his nature transformations to his advantage to make him learn the jutsu as fast as he can. And eventually, when that week comes and Jiraiya seeks out Tsunade, she is nowhere to be found. He finds Shizune, and Shizune tells her that that she went with Orochimaru. And in this instance, Jiraiya is still drugged by Tsunade, so his chakra really isn't at full capacity yet anyway. When they get to the meeting spot, they see Tsunade on one side and Kabuto and Orochimaru on the other side. And that's where I'm going to end it off, guys. If you liked it, share, subscribe, comment below. I'm a Santos the Destroyer, and I am out.